Manchester City are preparing a new 150 million euro bid for Tottenham and England captain Harry Kane to try and prize the number 9 away and take him to the Etihad Stadium. According to Fabrizio Romano, Man City are not giving up their pursuit. They are willing to put this bid in of around £127 million, 150 million euros to try and tempt Daniel Levy into agreeing to this deal. Now, everybody's going to have an opinion on this. Will Daniel Levy cave and get the deal done? Will Harry Kane's behavior improve somewhat after returning back to training late and refusing to take part in training? That's all been kind of played down now. Happy families and all that jazz. But what, in your opinion, is going to happen? Will Manchester City's 150 million euro bid for Harry Kane be accepted, or is this going to prolong and move forward? Of course, they play each other at the opening weekend of the Premier League campaign as well. In other news coming from Italy, the agent of Lautaro Martinez has said that he wants to stay. Has come out publicly for the second time in a week and stated he wants to stay. They're going to enter new contract negotiations with Inter Milan in the coming days. But of course, he said it already this summer about his other client, Hakimi, that he loves the club, that he wants to stay, that he isn't thinking of leaving. So what do you believe? Could Arsenal and Tottenham still land this very talented Argentinian striker from Inter Milan, or do you believe he's going to stay in Serie A? We're going to be dumping into the Joe Willock news as well, leaving Arsenal on his way to Newcastle United. Martin Odegaard now appearing to be the number 1 target, according to reports, for Arsenal Football Club this summer. But I want your views. I want your opinions. Do me a big favor and smash that like button. And finally, in tonight's show, we're back, powered again by our friends over at Fan Team. We're going to be giving you another chance to enter into our brand new Fantasy League this season. This Fantasy League gives you the chance and the opportunity. That is my team on screen right now. Chance and opportunity to win your share of a £1 million prize pool, with the winner of this fantasy league being given £200,000 to sign up. The link is inside the description below. We're going to take a delve into my team, Kendall's, Egal's and David's a little bit later on. But right now, smash that like button, hit the share button. Here we go. Hello, everyone. How you all doing? You all good?
I'm good. What about yourselves?
I'm good. I'm happy.
I feel humbled to be in the presence of Kendall, Sky Sports superstar now. How you doing? You're on mute.
Oh, we can't hear her.
They're still on mute. That's why.
Oh.
I'm not too sure what's happening. We'll let Kendall sort it out. Kendall's cool. How are you, Egal? You good? You excited about, Arsenal kicking off the Premier League campaign on Friday?
I'm not that excited, honestly. There's a lot of work that needed to be done in this window, and it doesn't seem like all the surgery has been completed. So I'm going into the season very, very worried about what could take place, because if last season was the way it was, and we haven't seemed to have gotten that much better, I'm going into it a little bit apprehensive.
And I get that. And we will certainly be doing sort of some relegation top 4 and title predictions from your 3.
Can you hear us now, by the way?
Yes. Although
Good,
you are out of sync, though. So
I know. I don't know what's happening. It was fine before. It's gone weird now.
Okay. No problem at all. We'll delve into that a little bit later. I want to start with the first bit of big news that's come out today. Fabrizio Romano, he streamed about it, he's tweeted about it, but he has said, it's an interesting way he's worded this as well. And he's essentially said that Manchester City are not going to give up on Harry Kane. They are preparing a new bid of 150 million euros, so around 127 million pounds. But then his next words are, if Spurs' stance will change. I I don't quite know how you know if a club's stance has changed until you make the bid. So they must have already made it for an intermediary, maybe. Spurs have received no new proposals for Kane yet and want to keep him. City's strategy is to be ready. So it's almost like they're waiting to see if Spurs will change their minds. David, what's your take on this transfer deal? Do you think Spurs will change their minds? Do you think £127 million is going to be enough?
No, I don't think so. I think they want £150 million, not 150 million euros. So they're already like 25 mil off the actual valuation. For me, I don't really see this transfer happening. I just don't see it. I don't think they have enough money to actively go after Grealish and Kane in the same window, especially with the thing hanging over their head of them already potentially breaking old rules. So I don't think they're going to do it anyway. But they can try. But I don't think Spurs won't change their mind on Harry Kane. For them, he is absolutely essential for their season. With no Harry Kane, they suddenly go from maybe very outside chance of top 4, but 5th and 6th Europa League to almost mid-table. So, yeah.
David, I just want to add on to what you just said. I feel like they have the assets, unlike majority of other teams in the Premier League, to sell some of their players for top dollar. Just look at the players that didn't feature as much last year in Laporte, in Bernardo Silva. Gundogan a year before was not a mainstay. Last year, he had an amazing season. It just goes to show you they have so much quality in their team. So some people across Europe, if they had money, I guarantee you Bernardo Silva would have been already sold by now. But the thing is, not a lot of teams have the financial clout to go out and buy players during this post-COVID market.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, someone said that earlier on today on the stream with myself, where they were sort of talking about how the Premier League clubs are in a much better position than Europe. We are to a degree because we have money coming in because our TV deals are so good. But it is hard to sell players to the continent because they don't have as much money. So, having our counterparts having much weaker leagues at the moment isn't actually that much of a positive. So I saw someone say yesterday, I'd love like all the European leagues become really weak. I'm like, you wouldn't though, because that means winning the Champions League means nothing. If they're all weak, you need those leagues to be strong, for those teams to be good, so that competition actually holds some weight in relation to that. But the Harry Kane one's interesting for me. Like, teams tend to not. There must be a belief somewhere that they can get this deal done. Otherwise, they would just look somewhere else. Like, the fact they're not going to give up tells me they have a belief in themselves. Maria Williams here of a super chat says, it's in euros, so still not enough in my opinion. They need to pay closer to what we want or jog on. And in fairness, that is one of the options in the poll today. But they'll increase the bid. But only 12% of people have voted for that element so far, which is, as I say, is an interesting one. In terms of Harry Kane, Igal, do you see him playing? Do you think he's going to start the game against Man City this weekend or play any part?
He hasn't. Am I mistaken? Has he trained with the first team yet, or is he still out training on his own? Because based on that, if he's still training on his own and he hasn't trained with the first team yet, I don't see him starting week 1. But if he continues to hold out until the window closes, it could be a situation where Levy just says, you know what, you've been a good servant. I'll end up selling you for maybe 10 million less if Man City can meet them high, more like maybe around 140 million, then the deal could probably still get pushed through. But at this moment, I feel like Man City and Tottenham are both playing their cards right. Man City are trying to wait until the final moment, and Tottenham are going to wait until the season goes. And I think Harry Kane will continue to sit out.
Do you think, David, Harry Kane's late return, do you think this was premeditated to miss the game against Man City, or am I just being a conspiracy theorist here?
I don't know. There's definitely some legs to that. I mean, I quite enjoy conspiracy theories genuinely anyway. So I'm always on that side of, well, if this has happened, is there an ulterior motive to what's going on? And there's definitely a chance that Kane may have thought, especially with the gentleman's agreement, that by now my transfer is probably going to be almost done to Man City already. So I don't really want to play him. We probably shouldn't play in this game anyway. 1, because I could get injured, but 2, I'm about to play against my future employers, which wouldn't make sense. So I think he did think the transfer would be done by now, but I mean, you can't really prepare for, you can't really adjust your holiday for a potential of a gentleman's agreement being completed. So there's a train of thought to say, yeah, of course that would make sense. But there's another train where it's like, no, it's just he thought he could get out, he didn't get out, and he's come back late, and it may not happen. But I still think he'll play game week 1. To be honest, I still think he'll play.
Terry, I was just thinking, Harry Kane's a big NFL fan, and this is very common in the NFL. So maybe he was already thinking about doing this regardless, just until the window closes, because he's seen it work in other leagues and other sports.
Yeah, I mean, look, I still think this is going to go to the wire. Daniel Levy, for me, I don't think he's good. Daniel Levy's put himself into a position now where I don't think he wants to be. Even if he agrees to let Kane go, it's going to have to be for this 150 million pounds, which was the original minimum standard for him. Otherwise, Levy will look like he's lost in negotiations. And Daniel Levy is the type of man who will cut his nose off to spite his face. He would rather, if it was 148 million, I could imagine him saying no. You know, over the £2 million, just nope, that isn't what I said, so we're not going to move forward from it. What's your opinion, Kendall? Do you think Harry Kane's going to get his move away to Man City this summer, or do you think it's just too difficult?
Well, we were talking about it yesterday, and it's like, at this point, he's 28 years old. A team like Man City aren't going to want to wait another 12 months for, to pay that amount of money. They might want to wait another 12 months if the fee's going to go down. But that just depends on what he does this season. I don't think, anyone's going to pay 150 million for a 29-year-old, nearly 30-year-old. Let's just put it that way. So whether or not he gets a move, I think if he does, it'll go right down to the wire, because there's going to be, they're going to be playing games on both sides. The likes of Man City are going to take his agent into account. Daniel Levy is notorious for playing hardball. Like, he's not going to want to let him go for anything less than what he's asking for, basically. So I can't see them moving on the price. It's just going to be whether, the likes of Man City are going to be willing to pay that, because obviously there isn't, as we know of, any interest from any other club at this point, is there? So I don't know. Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of time. Because obviously, like, Chelsea are going to get Lukaku, so they're not going to be in for Harry Kane. City still need an out-and-out striker like Harry Kane. So yeah, we'll see. I think if it's going to happen, it's going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, I hear you on that completely. Aaron here, the Liverpool fan with the super chat, says, why do Spurs fans say they want to keep someone who doesn't want to play for them? I see a lot of people saying 150 million or no deal. Why is 23 million so important to the fans? Look, I think they want to get paid what he's worth. The interesting thing about keeping someone that does, look, football. Thank you very much for that super chat. Football fans are fickle. If this was a Tottenham player that none of them rated, they'd just be like, get him out for whatever it costs, But when it's Harry Kane could be the difference between Spurs finishing 8th and 6th, 6th and 4th. If they play well and he's scoring goals, anything can happen. He's that good a football player. So I understand that. And if you're going to sell him, you want, 23 million is maybe the difference between that's 2 superstars coming in to replace him rather than just one. So I could completely understand them wanting to do that. It's just, is Harry Kane going to be giving his all? Is he going to be 100% dedicated? What's the dynamics in the dressing room going to be like? But that's up to Levy to sort out and get done. Viewers, I want your thoughts and your feelings. 58% of you think 150 million pound bid will be successful for Harry Kane. Maybe. I just definitely do not see anything being accepted, even if he bid 150 million pounds before this weekend's game. Don't see that. I think
it's a thing as well. Like, you can't replace Harry Kane. Like, that'll be why the fans are like, we can't replace him easily. Like, that'll be why the fans are like, they're not even in charge of the deal or whatever. They have no bearing or say on what happens. But they're going to obviously be thinking from a team perspective and like a future perspective, how on earth do you replace Harry Kane? You can't. The only ones you can replace is like the likes of Lewandowski, for example, who isn't really in the transfer market as far as we know. So they're going to want as much as they can, because they're going to be thinking to themselves, like, who would we even get to replace him? I know they've made a couple of signings and a couple of attacking signings, but like, you can't just go out into the market and replace Harry Kane, for example. So that's another thing. Like, Tottenham are going to be thinking of. You can't. Who realistically are they going to go out and get from that point?
They've been talking about that guy from Italy, Vlahovic, and they've also been talking about Martinez. So I'm not sure if they're going to bring 2 to replace 1.
Yeah,
but
like
Arsenal,
Aston Villa
we tried to do that. We tried to do that with Van Persie. We brought in 2 people. Didn't really work.
That would definitely didn't work. Do you know what I think it is? you're absolutely right. There is no replacing Harry Kane, as Maria Williams says with a member comment here that he's irreplaceable, and he is. He's absolutely irreplaceable because there's literally it's in like for like, and this is where football fans get too bogged down. There is no replacement for Paul Pogba. There is no replacement for Harry Kane. There is no replacement for peak Ronaldo and Messi's. They are so good, it's almost impossible to replace them. So you need to look for something new and different. I get the feeling that if the gentleman from Fiorentina you mentioned, whose surname I always mess up pronouncing, how do you pronounce it? That was a Q.
Vlahovic or Vlahovic, one of the
Vlahovic, yeah.
Like 4 different ways. No wonder I'm confused. 4 ways. But him, if they could sign him and Martinez was then really realistic, and we'll get onto that later, I think they may look at it and go, look, we could future-proof ourselves here. Like, we could bring them in for a collective 110 million and still have 40 million pound change as an example. I think that's when you could see Spurs sort of change their mind with all of this. I do believe they would look at one of those players and maybe come in and play alongside him, but we'll see. Viewers, what is your view and opinion? Harry Kane, is he staying or is he going? Let us know. In other transfer news today, again, this was brought to us. I saw the tweet from Fabrizio. I don't think it was directly his news. It was an interview that the agent of Lautaro Martinez gave, and his words were, he's not leaving Inter despite proposals from English clubs. So at least this time around, he's admitted there's been offers made from these English clubs. He's happy at Inter. He loves the club. We'll meet next week to talk over a new contract. Lautaro wants to stay. We'll see. I need to go to you first, Gal. Is this just the agent doing his agent work, trying to either get him a new deal where he is or forcing English clubs into improving their offers or making them bid quicker into Inter Milan? Or do you think that is it? Completely 110% dead. He's telling the truth. He won't be leaving Inter Milan this summer.
It could be a bit of both, honestly. He could believe that in his heart of heart that he's not going anywhere. But at the end of the day, Terry, we know this is football. If the right offer comes in that Inter are going to accept, he's gone the other way, because we know he wants to double or triple his wages if he comes to the Premier League. Where if he stays at Inter, he's just going to stay on his wages, which is around 60K a week right now, 60K euros a week, or something across that line. I might be mistaken, but when it comes down to it, if the right offer comes in, he's leaving. So whatever this agent says, it could be true today, but it might be gone tomorrow.
How about yourself, Kendall? Do you see there being? You saw the news on Saturday that Spurs initially had a bid accepted that was then rejected because Lukaku went. We were told on Sunday by his agent he isn't going to leave. He loves the club. But then you've had the likes of Alistair Gold, Football Insider, reporting throughout the course of the week that more productive conversations have happened with Lautaro's camp. Do you think that he's using the English clubs to get a better deal in Italy, or like a gal says, he's open for whatever option, the best option that presents itself?
Yeah, I think it's probably a mixture of both, because he'll obviously see the situation that Inter are in at the moment as well. And that's going to be taken advantage of by a couple of clubs in terms of going in for these players. It'll be a mixture of both, because obviously the agent are meant to have the players' best interests at heart. Whether or not they do or not is a different story. But yeah, again, it's going to be another one. These transfers that happen in this summer, because of the state certain clubs are in, because of the state of the market at the moment. Like we were talking yesterday, and everyone was saying that, certain things in the market have plateaued, like because of the way the world is at the moment, because of COVID, like things have plateaued. So people can take advantage of what they can. We've seen it in the past with loads of agents where they make these, statements about not moving, and it just makes clubs go in further because they're going to take that as, this player doesn't want to move, we have to do as much as we can. But I think if we've cottoned onto it, clubs are going to cotton onto the fact that they just say things to get money as well. So again, I don't know what's going to happen this time. Is the Lukaku deal isn't even complete? Varane isn't even complete. Like there's just deals that are just running on. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a mixture of a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, the Lukaku deal, I think we know that's 100% happening. I think it's just this thing, Inter Milan are not, I don't think they're being completely honest with their supporters. Inter Milan are, they're in a mess. They're in an absolute mess. There is no doubt about it. They're in an absolute.
I read a thing where it's like, if you look at the finances, like they literally could just fold in a year. Like in a year time, that club could actually genuinely fold. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, and those reports are kind of not muted as such, but they're not really being like discussed to the level that I think they should be. But I mean, what's your take on it, David? Do you see more exits from Inter Milan, or not? Do you feel that this is it now? They've got rid of a couple of big players. You know, I look at the players they're linked with. Dumfries, I think they're linked with or close to bringing in. Like Dzeko's a replacement for Lukaku. It isn't like they've replaced Lukaku like for like, you know, with another top class striker. What's your take on this? Do you believe the agent, or you think it's open ended still?
I think Inter Milan is such a bad place. I mean, I've been reading into it, and I think it's like almost 60% of the club now is basically just owned by China itself, because their actual like holding company is basically just collapsing because they have no money left. So I think they're really like that squad's just going to get picked apart. Like whether it's this season or next season, they're going to have to sell so many players just to keep up with the payments, and they could very easily go from where they were with AC Milan a couple of years ago, and they've just won a league, and they could be back there by the next season. So I see there being more exits. I don't think Lautaro Martinez, the whole saga's done yet. So yeah.
Yeah, certainly an interesting one indeed. In terms of the viewers, everyone seems to be split. I kind of feel like, again, there's a lot of rivals of Tottenham and Arsenal. Like, yep, definitely. It's like they're willing it into action. Like, it's definitely not going to go through. It's definitely not going to happen. I think it's a bit like Harry Kane. I think that this transfer will roll on towards the end of the window. I don't think it's over yet. The one thing I'd say about Inter, they're trying to get top dollar for these players. They're not sort of letting everybody go at cut prices. You know, even with Chelsea, they've gone and got nearly 100, considering the financial state they're in, they've still gone and got nearly 100 million pounds for Lukaku. It's not like you picked him up for 45, 50 million, like a closing down sale. So it's going to be interesting to see how it sort of transpires and how it moves forward and everything like that. It really, really is. It's going to be an interesting one indeed. In terms of other news, though, relating to Arsenal and, of course, Newcastle United, Joe Willock looks pretty much done and dusted. It looks like the personal terms have now been resolved. How excited are you, Kendall, to have Joe Willock coming back to, I will call it the proper name, St. James's Park next season?
Well, it is a proper name. I think no one else calls it anything else now. But I am excited, but I just feel like the whole mood, and I think everyone who knows me, who know any Newcastle fan, the whole mood is just dampened. Like, no one cares anymore. Like, it's Joe Willock, woo. Like, maybe if we'd signed him like really early on in the window, before we knew nothing else was happening, before we knew arbitration was delayed, before we knew, like Mike Ashley wasn't really, well, I'm going to say not put any money in. Obviously, this is going to be a 20 to 25 million pound deal. I think I would have been more excited. But the fact is, like, what Joe Willock does nothing. This is me being deadly serious right now. He does nothing in terms of like what we could do as a team, because we've let 2 defenders go, haven't brought another one in as of yet. We've let 2 strikers go. We're left with Callum Wilson and Dwight Gale. Dwight Gale's not a Premier League striker, in my opinion. Probably a lot of other people's opinions as well. Callum Wilson cannot stay injury free for more than, maybe 2 months maximum. So at this point in time, and I know the window isn't over yet, but Joe Willock, in the grand scheme of things, is like just a really small fish in a ginormous swamp. I wouldn't even say pond, because it's that murky. It's just a pure swamp right now. But obviously, it all is a bit funny, because yesterday it wasn't happening. We were miles apart on personal terms. We were miles apart on wages, miles apart on, because apparently it's going to be a 6-year contract. Whether or not that's true, I really don't know. He's going to obviously want some clauses in there, because we flirt with relegation every year. I can't imagine he's going to be wanting to play in the Championship. There's going to be relegation clauses in there. Maybe there might be even a clause in terms of Jack Grealish, where they said, if a Champions League team come in, then one of those clauses. So we were miles away yesterday. I've woke up this morning, and apparently overnight it's all fine. We're really close now, and it's getting done. And I just don't trust it. Like, I know a lot of obviously reliable people are reporting it now, but if you follow Newcastle like I have, then you know that it's really not the end. So yeah, I just think I'm excited. I wanted him back more than anything, but as of now, like, the impact he's going to make, and I know I said he single-handedly kept us up last season, which was kind of true. He did. His impact did. But it really, regardless of whether we sign him or not, we'll still not do much else. And there's still like 5-6 other positions that we are actually, and I don't mean we need depth. I mean, we actually need a decent player there in terms of like forward. We need another centre back. We need a left back. Like this is my problem. So my excitement is like capped at this moment. Unless we do any more business, that's going to be another story. But yeah, it's kind of capped. But I am glad to see him back, despite the fact people like you're so miserable. But yeah, I am.
I do get that. Do you know what? It reminds me when I watch football matches. Sometimes we can win a game, but we've played badly, and we're against a bang average team, and it's like a 85th minute winner. And it wasn't like we battered the door down. Their goalie had a madness night. So I win, but I'm still annoyed because Joe Willock's a really good signing for you, but it's so late in the day. This could have been done weeks ago, and other things focused on. So I totally get that. Make sure you smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the stream past 500 likes while we're live on the air, please. Igal, from your point of view, he's leaving. Do you now expect that to trigger a transfer for Arsenal in the other direction, a player coming in? Do you now expect to see one of the midfielders you've been linked with this summer join Arsenal Football Club?
I hope so, because we've always said it's going to be like a dominoes effect. Once a player leaves, we're going to be able to have the funds to now get maybe a James Maddison or get another signing through the door. But at this moment, Terry, there's a lot of wait and see to what's going on in the transfer window, because I don't know. I know we're going after James Maddison, but if the bid is what, 60 million, and that 25 million puts us over the edge, that's perfect, because we know we bid 50 million recently, which got rejected. And Kendall, if you guys are willing to take, what do you call it, Rob Holding also, it would be great, because Rob Holding.
I better not say anything about Rob Holding, because I got absolutely cooked on Twitter for it when I said that.
No, but Kendall, it's the same situation. I'm not going to lie to you. Joe Willock is not going to play in our team this season. Even if he was in our team, he wouldn't have got game time because he just doesn't fit the system. But Rob Holding, same thing. He's now what, third choice, right? Currently, if anything did happen and he did move to you guys, I could see Callum Chambers replacing him in our team, but Rob Holding coming into your team and being one of the best players of your team. So it's just like a situation where if we can sell some of these other fringe players currently, we can make some money on it. It would be great, because no one else across the continent has money. And if teams within the Premier League like a Newcastle want to come buy our players, it would be an upgrade to what you currently have. It's as much as you see him for Arsenal as a banter player. Look at what happened with Joe Willock. You laughed. Everyone laughed. No one thought he was going to do anything. He scored 7 goals.
I didn't laugh. I just was like very underwhelmed. I was just like, But that was before I knew what kind of player he was. Like
again, that 25 mil, 5 mil, that's going to Aaron Ramsdale anyway. So that's 20 mil.
No, Aaron Ramsdale's gone, by the way.
Sorry,
We'll see when you get that 25 mil.
Yesterday it was reported by Fabrizio Romano and everybody that it's done. It's not happening anymore.
How many times have these people got it wrong?
No. It was categorically.
Thank you very much. Okay. Aaron Ramsdale is going to be
notified the player.
Arsenal's going to be.
He is gutted, and he's not going to be getting the move.
And also, I think Joe Willock's very overrated. I'm not going to lie. He's like he dramatically overperformed last season. It was kind of,
Yeah, but you don't know that. You don't know
he
that.
He dropped in and it exploded. And it's let's buy Joe Willock for 25 mil.
A few months in, and then he might have. But he might just fit. I can't know how I'm going to say this, but he might just fit Steve Bruce's system quite well. And plus, to be fair to him, he did play in a time where St. Maximin wasn't fit, Callum Wilson wasn't fit. If he's going to be around them players, that just can elevate it even more, but it might even take it away from him a little bit. But I don't care at this point. We're so lacking. Like, Longstaff is meant to be going Everton, please. Honestly, I will pray. I'll actually pray for that to happen. Please manifest it. I'm going to do like the 7-day thing where you manifest something to happen. But then what do we do if we don't get anyone else in? Then we just another player short.
I thought Longstaff was 50 for Man United a couple of seasons ago. What happened?
The Joe Willock signing is an interesting one for me. I think he's a talented player. And he broke the record. Only midfielder, I think, ever to score 7 games on the bounce in the Prem. You cannot take that record away from him.
And he was Arsenal's highest scoring midfielder as well.
He was. I'm very intrigued to see how he does this season from the beginning under Steve Bruce. And I'll say the same thing about Jesse Lingard. I thought Jesse Lingard so overperformed in that West. That's why I was desperate for us to cash in on him when we did. But equally, no one's come in for him. And that's because I think they know that the price that Man United now want because of all them goals and assists is above the level that he really is, and they don't want to drop 30 odd million pound on a player that will probably not do that again in his career. But
the
we
thing is
will
with Joe
see.
Willock as well, though,
Harry,
like
Leicester will come in for him.
He's got the fans this time around, which he didn't have at all, like that whole of last season. So that could make or break him as well at this point. So we'll see. We'll see.
Look, it's going to be an interesting one. I do want to delve into that for a moment there with you, Gao, in just a second. I've got a super chat to do first here. Thank you to NK Dons fan. We have another super chat says, shouldn't City get Kane this season and get Grealish next season since he's younger than Kane and they need a striker more than anything? It's a good question, but you can't always think like that. They got in Jack Grealish because they wanted to ensure that nobody else got him. The reason it was 100 million is because Villa don't need the money and there was a buyout clause. And who knows by next season, what Man United might do. Liverpool sell one of their big players and come in for him. They just didn't want to take that risk. And the Harry Kane deal was a lot harder to get done. So imagine they waited and waited and waited. They didn't buy Grealish. And then Grealish says, actually, I'm not going to move now because I've already started the campaign. And then Harry Kane doesn't come in. They have nobody. So I get your point, but I think they made the right choice there. Again, I want to ask you, brother, because you kind of you sit in the sort of Joe Willock piece there. You mentioned Joe Willock leaving. That should be enough money to go and bid for Maddison. Leicester have looked at Jesse Lingard. Today was a very interesting day when it came to transfers. Very interesting day indeed. Because someone sent me a link to an Athletic reporter that writes about Leicester from 2 days ago, where he basically said there's been zero contact between Arsenal, Maddison, Leicester, which I find very strange. You've then had a few tier one Arsenal people now, not saying they don't think that will happen, but just acting as if, why is everyone talking about Maddison and Arsenal like it was ever a thing? They're kind of really playing it down. And then we see the news come out that ODEGAARD has been your number one target. And I think they're spinning. I believe he was your number one target. And then the opportunity arose to maybe get Maddison, to maybe get Bernardo Silva. You've put, and maybe not official bids, and we have to put them in quotes now because people get very angry about the difference between offers and bids. But you've definitely made offers for him. I know you trust the AFC Bell, and they've categorically told us these things. So it depends. Chris Wheatley has definitely put out articles where he said the offers via intermediaries have gone in. What do you think is going to happen with Arsenal now, though? With Willock, for me, I think he's going to go. Are you going to spend that money topping up your bid for James Maddison? Or do you think it will just be, let's go for not as good, but a cheaper option in ODEGAARD? What do you think Arsenal are going to do now, Igal?
I think the James Maddison deal is happening, Terry. I don't care what everybody's telling me about all these things. At my heart of heart, I genuinely do believe that we're going to do similar to what we did with Thomas Partey, and James Maddison by the end of the window will be an Arsenal player, and you'll see a dominoes effect. Maybe Jesse Lingard goes the other way to Leicester because you start hearing rumors of who James Maddison's replacement is going to be once he leaves. We're also hearing that he's going to get double his wages coming to Arsenal. So that is manageable with 120 net wages. That's manageable for a player like him. Attacking wise, he fits our bill, what we need. He's 24 years old. The only other person we're being linked to is ODEGAARD, Bernardo Silva. Some of these other reports I just don't believe. And when it comes to the ODEGAARD situation being our main priority, let me just tell you right now, that right there is a straight out fabrication. There is no way Buendia was being bidded for and we were in a bidding war with Aston Villa if ODEGAARD was our number one option. There's no way that we're waiting this long with a team that like Real Madrid, who has so many midfielders. When they were healthy, we would have gone in for ODEGAARD. And to believe that we're here on the 12th of August and our number one option has yet to have any bids or any formal conversations throughout the whole window, that is straight up fabrication. There's no way that you can tell me.
I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing.
He's our number one target.
They're waiting till deadline day. So then it's like it becomes like a bigger thing.
No.
But they're doing it till deadline day, and then
but the thing,
a bigger thing, like you said last year with Partey.
David, the thing about that was the Thomas Partey was spoken about prior to the signing. There is no way that Arsenal are doing this so behind closed doors. Plus, Real Madrid have injuries to Cruz. They have injuries to Dani Ceballos. ODEGAARD is one of their only midfielders that are fit. Him and Modric and Casemiro. So I generally do think it's going to happen. I've spoken to Lee Chappie, and he told me he feels like it's not going to happen, but I do feel like it could happen.
Hello, little one. So hello. Hi. Princess Crest there. Love it.
He just
Do you
brought
know
us
what?
some chocolate, so I'm just eating chocolate and she's
Nice,
eating the
love it,
rest.
love it. I think when it comes to James Maddison, I'd love to get David's opinion on this actually, rather than mine. I speak a lot. Do you see that deal happening? I mean, the PR spin today, and I'm sorry to call out other journalists. They're just reporting the news. Igal's right. There's been Buendia bids. There's been offers for Maddison. According to the report today, I'm not too sure who the gentleman was on Sky Sports. They approached Bernardo Silva. Is that what you do when your number one target is at Real Madrid and available?
No. Again, this whole nonsense of, oh well, it was an informal bid and this. I don't get why it's such a thing. Yeah, you bidded. They said no. It's that simple. You put in an offer, and either it gets accepted or rejected. There's no in between. So it's very simple. For me, yeah, no, Maddison right now, he's way too good for Arsenal. I don't think he should go there. I think that'd be a waste of his career. Because ultimately, I don't think the next good Arsenal team Maddison's even going to be in. Because I think they're that far behind. The thing is, there aren't any really good. So even if they sacked Arteta, which loads of Arsenal fans want, there aren't really any like amazing managers like when Klopp left and he went to Liverpool. There aren't like managers like that are even available. So that option's already gone. And their squad is so far off and is so old that it's going to get soon to be expired that I just don't see why he would do that. Honestly, I don't see why he would. I would rather stay at Leicester and try and fight more. Again, I don't even think he's out of the first team because he got injured last year, but I try and get back in the first team at Leicester because you have a higher chance of actually like playing in Champions League than you do for Arsenal. I don't.
Did you say he's too good for Arsenal? What do you mean?
100%, he's way too good for Arsenal. I think Maddison is maybe not now, but when he was fit in form last season, he was as good as Grealish. Grealish is far too good for Arsenal. Maddison is far too good for Arsenal. If Maddison goes into your team, he's your best player.
Okay, I'm not. That's not my point. My point is, what makes you say stuff like that? Like that's just ridiculous. You can't say, "Oh,
Why?
he's far too good for Arsenal." This is a guy who was in the Championship a couple of seasons ago. He's in the team. He's doing great things at Leicester. Just because the player you don't see him moving to Arsenal doesn't mean he's far too good for Arsenal. Come on,
but he is far too good.
You know, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Oh no! Again, you finished 8th the past 2 seasons. You're not in Europe. Leicester have been, again, 1 or 2 points away both seasons from the Champions League. The step down, it's very evident to see footballing wise. Because I understand. Oh, he could be the guy who's gonna change Arsenal forever. Realistically, that logic of thinking doesn't really make sense because Maddison, as a footballer, unless you are like Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, you're not going to dramatically change the fortunes of a team with one player. Normally, it's a group of 2 or 3 players. And Arsenal haven't made any.
He's not in Leicester's first team. Well, I know he got injured towards the end of that season, but he's not in their first team. So it depends on him. Like, what if he wants the game time? Like, what if I
think when he's fully fit and he gets to run a games, he'll be back in that first team very fast because he is that. I very, very highly rate Maddison. So I think personally, I think he is too good for Arsenal. Personally,
and I hear where you're coming from with that. Viewers, what's your views? What are your opinions on this? We want to hear from you. Smash that like button right now. Remember, later on in the show, we're going to be talking about the brand new fantasy league that the Football Terrace is part of with our friends over at Fan Team. That is my team to start the season with, as you can see. Vardy as vice captain, Bruno Fernandes as my main captain. There is a prize pool of £1 million that is going to be given away, with the number 1 placed finish getting a grand total of £200,000 cash given to them. So go into the link in the description below and get yourself signed up to that. We'll give you a bit more download on it a little bit later. We've got some super chats here. First one. Liverpool's current team can still challenge for this title despite United, City and Chelsea adding strong players. Games can be won by individual brilliance, and most often they are won by teamwork, is what Jason says. We'll delve into that later. We're going to do some Premier League predictions later, Jason, so we'll delve into that a little bit later on down the line. We have some more super chats I've got to jump into here. I'm glad I didn't miss this one. Thank you very much, Mr. Elmore. He says, Egal, as per James McNicholas at the Gunner blog, Maddison is not happening, dude. Leave it alone. He's also recently really injury prone. Odegaard is not a bad signing. He's an excellent player who improves us in the second part of the season. What's your response to that, Egal?
Odegaard lacks the goals that we need from midfield. He also does not take as many chances going forward. Maddison and Odegaard, when it comes to created chances over the past couple seasons, Maddison is far superior in created chances. Odegaard may be better with the passes into pockets and finding spaces in the vision, but James Maddison overall is a much better player. He's already Premier League proven. He's shown that he can get the goals, assists, and improve our team overall. And one thing that Odegaard and Maddison, the difference between them two is Maddison drifts majority of the time into that left flank, which would bring more balance to our team overall. I prefer Maddison over Odegaard. If Odegaard came, I'll probably have to get around to it, but I would prefer James Maddison over Odegaard any day of the week.
What I find interesting about the opinion on Maddison, even on the Football Terrace on the Done Deal show, where Peter O'Rourke has never once said it will happen, but spoke about how Arsenal were encouraged, how it could go through, where Dean's always been at the other end of the spectrum, sort of, no. But 2 weeks ago, when Dean said, doesn't think it's happening, the Arsenal fan base came for him. Now you've got some respected Arsenal sort of based journalists and blogs saying it. It's like, it's not only are they just saying, no, it isn't happening, they're trying to pretend that they've never been interested. I love it. I love football fans. I love the fickleness of it all.
But he's not injury prone, Terry. That's one thing I don't agree with.
Okay. Egal, Real Madrid had a friendly and he was on the bench, as in Odegaard was on the bench. Fair enough. Thank you very much, Daily Smith, for that. We have another one here that says, why are Arsenal fans deluded? That's from Reese Rovers.
Do you know what I find interesting? So, like, before the whole Maddison rumours and at the end of last season, Arsenal fans wanted Odegaard. They were like, we need to go and get him right now. Like, that's what we need to do. And then now the Maddison rumours have come in and then that's not even nailed on. It's like, oh, right, well, I'm going to have to get used to Odegaard now.
Kendall, he was terrible on the back end of last season. He was a passenger during certain games, and he had a good little run. But after like when we were getting deeper and deeper into the season, you could see that Smith Rowe was a step above him, and Odegaard was not going to make the cut.
Oh, Smith Rowe is a step above him. That's not true.
No, but you just
hang on. Did you just say Smith Rowe's a step above Odegaard?
Yes.
This is what I mean. Smith Rowe is good.
You guys keep laughing. This is the same.
He's not that good. He's not that good. He's not that good.
He's not that good, bro.
He's not that good.
Smith Rowe will try to will try to push to get into the England team this season. You see.
Cool. So Jesse Lingard got in that.
Might not make it.
I still don't rate him. I don't rate him.
He might push. Wayne Sage here says sometimes banter becomes ignorance. This guy is straight ignorant. I don't know who you're talking about. I'm assuming a gal, but I don't want to.
I think it might be David.
It could be David.
It could be David. About he's too good for Arsenal. I think that's what he's probably talking about.
He absolutely could.
Do a poll, please. Odegaard and Smith Rowe. Who's better? In my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you ask Arsenal fans, they're going to say Smith Rowe because there's some weird soul tie like Man United fans have with Martial.
The Football Terrace community is mixed. It's not just Arsenal fans.
That can be our next poll. We can do that next poll on the terrace here. Neil O'Callaghan with a super chat says Arsenal are a team in transition, and Maddison would like to be in that team. Like to be in a team that is challenging. That is his next step in his career, and therefore Arsenal is not the club for him, is what Neil O'Callaghan thinks.
That was a more polite way of saying
why UFC says I really don't want Arsenal to sign Odegaard. If he stays at Real Madrid, coached by Ancelotti, he will replace Luka Modric, extremely talented. The interesting thing about Odegaard, I said it last season, I agree with the gal in the sense I don't think he was as good at Arsenal last season as some people are pretending that he was. And I remember when you were signing him, Miguel, and look, I don't get everything I say about football right. Nobody does. Anyone who thinks they do, they need their hard drive looking at. But my view, I said this to you, generally, if those super talented youngsters we see at big clubs around Europe, when they're loaned out more than 2 or 3 times and teams are willing to sell them, that should be the red flag that they're not good enough. Generally speaking, because if they were Real Madrid, there's that young lad, and I don't know, he's they've just loaned out again, young lad, Kubo, all that hype about him a couple of years ago. He's obviously not that good as he'd be playing. Like they've got a problem at their club right now, and they're still loaning him out. Like Man United fans are upset today that James Garner is going to be loaned out again and is rejecting a new contract. The club just don't think he's good enough because at the age he's at now, he would start to get game time. If next season Billy Gilmore's loaned out again, he's not going to have a career at Chelsea.
Tammy Abraham's a prime example of that. Loaned out loads of times. He played in the squad. They were like, he's not good enough.
Honestly, I think you'd be hard pushed to find 5 examples of players that have been loaned out more than twice by their parent club and then gone on to have a really successful career at their parent club. Like Harry Kane is an exception to the rule, and I can't think of many others outside of that, the elite level clubs anyway. We have another super chat here from Monsieur Ahmed who says, if Arsenal are loitering 8th or 9th after 10 games, should Arteta be sacked? Terry missed the beginning. What was the update on Duku to Liverpool? We haven't actually updated on that. We'll do that a little bit later, so you didn't miss that part. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Kendall? If Arsenal was sitting 10th, between 10th and 8th after, say, 10 games, should they look at sacking Arteta?
It depends because I think a lot of fans now, last season was kind of it was an ultimatum basically. Are they rebuilding? Are they competing? Obviously they're not, because they're not in a European competition now. So they've just got to accept that it either is the rebuilding phase. How long they're going to accept that that's going on for is a different story. How long do you give Arteta, to turn things around? If you can't turn things around after some signings that they've made, I would then be thinking, well, is this ever going to happen? Because you can't give them a whole new squad just because the manager's not good enough. You can't do that. You've got to work with what you've got. Look at what Tuchel did with, the Lampard squad. That's what you need. So it just depends how long they're willing to accept that this is what it is for now, or how long they're determined to wait, to start competing in Europe again. Because Arsenal's a club, like, no banter or anything, like, they genuinely should be competing in Europe, in my opinion. Maybe that's a sentimental, historical view, but I think they should. The size of the club as well. So, yeah, it completely depends. And anyways, it doesn't even matter what the fans think because they aren't in charge. Again, as we all know, fans can maybe have an influence on things, but in terms of, like, the board, they obviously like Arteta. They obviously want to stick with him because we've seen managers sacked, for less. So, yeah, I think it's all just a matter of time. And as I say, if he does get the signings that he looks to want, then they can't give him, another whole season based on that, because what can he do if he's made the signings and he still can't do anything? So,
yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's going to be interesting to see how he starts. I mean, I just think that the toxicity towards him is going to be uncontrollable if the start for Arsenal is bad as early as Friday. It's the opening game tomorrow night. We are going to get onto that a little bit later on. Monsieur, thank you very much for that super chat, buddy. Mr. Elmore's back. I need you guys to help me.
I swear to God, I thought it was Wednesday today. So then he just said, opening game is tomorrow. I'm like,
in fairness, I was hungover from Sunday morning through till yesterday morning because nothing can be.
From the weekend, were you actually?
I'm 35 years old, and I don't know if you remember, I was a little bit drunk. Like,
you were drunk when I met up with you, so yeah, that was at like 5 o'clock. So yeah, you were.
And fairness, I was still going at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I was out and about. So I'm not lightweight, but yeah, I was bad. My mate Phil, that was out, he's older than me, he's in his 40s. He was just like, he's been dead all week. Mr. Elmore here says, David, the difference between Arsenal and Leicester is that Arsenal can't celebrate winning a charity shield, and Leicester had a huge celebration.
Yeah, but Leicester don't claim to be the second biggest club in the country, so they are allowed to celebrate a charity. Okay, third then. Sorry. Ooh.
Why? Because you guys just trying to Chelsea fans are always trying to compare themselves to Arsenal because they know they have to catch up.
To be fair, Gary Neville did say that Newcastle were a bigger club than Chelsea yesterday. So.
Oh, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, but do you know what it comes down to? I always say about these things, it comes down to the interpretation of what bigger is. It's like, are you looking historically? And what I find interesting about the argument is there's sometimes when people want to, Chelsea fans are going to find this out in 20 years' time. Now that you're creating great history, you're never going to want to forget it. Do you know what I mean? And when a team isn't currently contemporary winning anything, and you're trying to beat them in an argument, it's like, let's wipe that away. Newcastle have something that no other club has in this country of their size, is a city that is just unique to them by themselves. If you think about all the other big cities, Liverpool split, Manchester split, London isn't even within postcodes. It's weird. Like, people often moan, like, how can you be a Londoner and you support a team outside of London? Bruv, if you're from East London and you support Chelsea, you've got no business doing that, because West London and East London are not the same place. That's all I'm saying, right? They're different worlds, especially Chelsea. Like, that's for rich people. But like, at the end of the day, Newcastle has this unique thing about everyone in the city. I've never met a Geordie that doesn't support Newcastle. I don't know if there any exist. I've never seen a Geordie that says I'm a Man United fan, that says I'm a Tottenham fan. They just support their local club. So that in itself makes them big. But there we go. That's another conversation for another day, because the chat is gonna go mad. I'm gonna put that poll out now. Who is the better player, Emil Smith Rowe or Odegaard? I'll put that in. Let me just add the names in. I'm not gonna write Emil Smith Rowe. I'm just gonna put the abbreviations in, right? Because that's a lot easier for my little brain to do. That poll is now out. You can vote for that right now on the Football Terrace and get that done. Let's get this stream past 500 likes, please, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your super chats coming as well. But hang on, I've got one from Wayne here that says, I have socks older than Chelsea's relevance in football. Now their fans manufactured some arrogance.
Yeah, where does this whole Leicester are bigger than Arsenal talk come from? They're a better club right now.
No one said that.
No. You didn't say that, but people imply that Leicester are a bigger club because they're currently run better.
Don't. Again, you're now mixing the arguments up. What people are saying is that right now Leicester are better than you. Better run, better on the pitch.
That's true. I'll be the first to admit that.
But people, no one, I've never seen anyone say Leicester are bigger than Arsenal.
My argument is that Maddison shouldn't go to Arsenal because he's right now he's a player. So as a player, you'd want to be at the better run, better footballing side. Surely, that just would make more sense.
Okay, but let me
try and
something.
become the guy who will make
Club,
Arsenal that guy.
David, Leicester Football Club have sold Conte, one of their best players, Riyad Mahrez, one of their best players, Harry Maguire, one of their best players, Chilwell, one of their best players.
Yeah, but
I believe that their system is to sell one of their players every season in order to maintain everything, because their owners are not as rich as everybody else's owners. That's my genuine opinion.
I think you're half right. They're doing that until they get to a point where they can compete for titles on a regular. Their players only leave to go to title challenging teams. Yeah. Generally speaking, or teams they think should be challenging for titles. Maguire's hasn't quite worked out, but that's why he went to Man United, to try and get him back there. When Leicester get themselves, and it might be another 10 years, if they keep going in the direction they're going in, they will eventually be able to compete for titles. And then they'll be able to keep in my opinion, be able to keep their players. But maybe that's another discussion for another day. I do want to jump over now and have a little check-in here with our friends over at Fan Team. Of course, Fan Team are helping us launch. We're working alongside them. They've already launched it. A brand new fantasy. That is a weird thing. I don't know why that's there. Like, let me remove that. That shouldn't be on there. A brand new fantasy football game that's available right now. As you can see here on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, you can sign up and you can play for this. All the information is in the description below. You have to register, of course, to do this. It's a very, very good game, in my opinion. You get £100 million to spend. As you can see here, I've picked my team. I want to know what do you think of my team, peeps? First and foremost, what you saying? Decent, good, no good, gonna struggle? What do you reckon?
I think you shouldn't have a Man City goalkeeper, because later in the season you might want to put 3 Man City outfield players in your team.
Man City has Martinez in goal.
No, but here, look at his second keeper. It's Stefan.
Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah, but the subs don't even matter, because half the time you just do it because you only have a little bit of money left.
Say if Kane moves to City and you want to put Kane, Grealish, and Cancelo, you won't be able to do that because you have Stefan.
But then I would listen. I mean, if you look at one of Vardy, I'll be changing it as soon as Lukaku can play. The only reason I haven't put Lukaku in here yet is because he won't be ready for this weekend. Lukaku would be in this team as my captain if he was playing. So if Kane signs for Man City, or even stays at Tottenham, I'll probably look to add him into the team as an example. The thing is, you can change this up week on week. You get a number of substitutions each week to put forward.
You can only have 3 players of the same team, Terry. That's my point.
I know that. I don't get what your issue is. I'll get rid of the sub
Yeah,
goalie.
Kane hasn't signed yet, so and even if
No,
he
he's-
does, he won't be available for this weekend, similar to Lukaku. So it'll
Gal's
only be next time round.
Gal's
You can
point
change it.
is that if you've got that third goalkeeper who's Man City, it's hard to make them. It's hard to find the money. I guess it's not too hard because he has Vardy, which is it's not a massive jump, but it's hard to make that jump without taking a
Okay,
hit
I get
for
you.
it.
I get you on that sense.
My advice is get the Newcastle goalkeeper. He's 4 million. Freddie Woodman.
Yeah, but he's not going to play the whole season. He's only going to play 1 or 2 games until Darlow's fully fit again.
You have Martinez. You don't need him to play.
Again, but what you've got to remember is, it's about rotation. And the difference is this with the fantasy league we're doing here with Fan Team is, we've all had our entry. It is £20 to play for the entire season. But I have the chance here of winning £200,000. So do all the viewers. And if you come second place, it's 75 grand. I'm going to be working hard on this. When I do the Premier League's version, because there's nothing at the end of it, I go through weeks where I forget to make subs. This is about remembering to make your subs. It's about remembering to make the transfers at the right time. I'm going to be really strategic this time around. I'm going to look at it and think, look, do you know what? Like Chelsea have got 5 easy games on the bounce coming up. So let's get Lukaku in as captain during that time period. Let's maybe take Bruno Fernandes out of the team when he's got a run of hard games coming up because maybe he isn't performing in those games. I think that's what you're going to have to do to win this. I mean, there's 17,000 people who are currently signed up so far to this. A maximum of 50,000 people can enter this now. So there is a time limit. They've seen a massive increase of around 7,000 people in the last couple of days. They anticipate at least 10,000 in the next view because, of course, this is going to be advertised via Give Me Sport as well. So viewers, get yourself onto the link below. Get yourself signed up. And if you put a lot of time and energy into these fantasy leagues most seasons, give this one a go. £20 to play for the season. And if you win, it's 200 grand. If you come in the top 5,000 people, you double your money. So it's well worth a go. It's well worth a punt in relation to that. But the big question for you three, who's finishing the highest out of us?
It's going to be me.
Probably a
It's not
Gal.
even
Again,
he knows how
we
to
laugh
do
at a
fantasy
Gal,
football.
but he's
It was
on
only
it.
my first year last year when I did it in the season. And then in the Euro one, I did a lot better than I did in my Premier League one. So I'm still learning a little bit.
Yeah, in fairness, I listened to a gal in the Euros for the first 2 rounds. And when I stopped listening in the last 2 rounds, I scored double the points as in the first 2. So I've stopped
the Ferran Torres guarantee was always a highlight. Ferran Torres guaranteed points, got 1 goal.
No, he got 2 goals and an assist.
Oh, so okay, guaranteed.
Absolutely. So, for me, it's worth it. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be worth a go. We're going to be reviewing and taking looks at this over the course of the season and sort of just reviewing things to see how they are, because they've got some interesting stuff that it won't look like anything now. But for instance, I've clicked here on João Cancelo. Each week we'll be able to look at it. You'll be able to see their points, look at their actual stats, look at what games have been coming up and how they've been performing. So we'll be having a review once a week on the Football Terrace and talking about this, reviewing where we are in the league as it stands right now. And what I do know is of the 17,000 odd people that are in there, we got the statistics through because I have a special link that's connected to the Football Terrace below. Somewhere in the region, we're at 5,000 people that have signed up have come directly from the Football Terrace and Snack Media World. So a massive thank you to all of those individuals that have done it. As I say, just £20 for the entire season, worth a go. If you want to put your money where your mouth is, if you think you can win, if you think you can win a top prize, get it done. As I say, if you finish in the top 10, you're making some serious money. All the information is below. Go and give it a go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, though, Premier League predictions. Premier League predictions. Season is literally about to start. Arsenal, we might touch on them in a minute. First question I'm going to put to you here. I'm going to go to you first, Gal. Top 4. Who's in your top 4 this season? Who's gonna do it?
Okay, as much as I want to squeeze Arsenal in there, I can't. So I'm going to go Liverpool. In no particular order or in a particular order?
Do it. No, just do who we're going to be next. We're going to do winners later. So yeah,
Okay.
in no particular order.
In no particular order, I'm going to have Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, and Man City.
So you're going for pretty much what? Yeah, I mean, is anyone going to go for anything different? I mean, most people are predicting City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. Anyone going to throw a curve?
I'm going different.
Okay.
I'm going City, Chelsea, United, Leicester.
I think that's the only other interchangeable one that you could make. I think, yeah.
Well,
Stop it. No, they're going to bottle it.
Bearing in mind, Liverpool haven't made Well, they've signed Kanate, but they haven't actually made a signing yet. So
Arsenal are going to finish above Leicester this season. You guys watch.
okay.
What makes you that? What makes you that confident that Arsenal will finish above Leicester?
We don't have European competitions. Both Tottenham and Leicester have European competitions. That should make it easier for us to get higher up the table this season, finishing above both Tottenham and Leicester.
Yeah, but Leicester and Tottenham also did Tottenham last year. No, Leicester did though. No, Tottenham did.
They both had it last year, and they finished above us.
and they
We
finished
were
above you as
heavily
well.
hindered. I generally do believe that we won't be as hindered by. It will help us a lot more than you guys think not having European football this season.
No, I do agree because it normally does. Like we've seen teams like, who was it? I can't think off the top of my head where they really struggled and they got into Europe and they struggled. It was like Aston Villa or Burnley or somebody like that. Might have been Burnley a few years ago, and they really struggled the season afterwards. Like they were like 16th or something afterwards. Same thing happened to us when we had Alan Pardew. We were like 5th, got into Europe, and I think we went out in the first round or something.
My point is the squad is not as bad as everyone makes it seem like. If Arteta has a whole week to train with them, and we only play one game a week, it's a big difference.
But
so
why?
No.
I don't know. I mean, are you that confident? So when you say above them, but where do you think Arsenal are finishing then?
5th.
How far behind top 4?
We're going to push until end of the season to try to still get in there, but we're going to end up finishing like 5th.
So how far behind then? How far is pushing?
I don't know how many points we're going to get, Terry. I'm just saying we're going to be 5th.
How many points behind 4th?
I don't know how many points off top 4 we're going to be, but I'm saying we're going to push and we're going to be close.
Do you think with 2 games to go, you can still make the Champions League?
I think within the last month of the Premier League season, we're still going to be in the mix for top 4.
And do you think that, do you think Arsenal will be ready? Say there's a slip up. Say Man United have a terrible season. Say Liverpool have a terrible season. Do you think Arsenal will be ready to step in to that void should it go wrong? And you think
we have to see when we get there, Terry. But at the moment, I'm making a bold statement. I agree. I think everyone's going to disagree with me, but I generally think Arsenal, because we don't have Europe, we can push to get into the top 4, but we're just going to miss out and get 5th. What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it. It's your prediction. I'm just trying to understand it. I'm just trying to understand sort of where you're coming from with it. I think Leicester have improved well. Tottenham have got a very good manager in. I do think people are sleeping on Tottenham because I don't even know why people suddenly
they looked awful in pre-season.
They're going to do terrible.
Yeah, but they've made a couple of decent signings since then as well. So
yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see how it works. I mean, they've still got a few more players to come in as well. I think Spurs, irrespective of what happens with Harry Kane. But there we go.
Spurs are going to crumble this season. They don't have a good center back pairing. They're terrible overall. They have good attack. That's pretty much it.
I mean, they are going to play probably a back 3. So that'll probably cover up that deficiency anyway. I think Brighton have a higher chance of finishing above Arsenal than Arsenal have finishing above Leicester. So, yeah.
That's absurd.
How is that absurd?
That's absurd.
How is that absurd?
Have Brighton even gotten a striker in?
They don't need a striker. They don't need a striker. This is what
finished above Brighton last year.
This is what I find really funny about football fans, right? They think
that's more delusional than me saying we're going to finish.
Because you have a season where you don't finish, therefore you must buy a brand new striker. It's not how it always works. You can just have off seasons, it can just happen. Last season was just a dramatically weird season. I think that Brighton actually played very good football. And they lost quite a few games last season where you go, like against Man United, they lost 3-2. They hit the post 5 times. That doesn't happen on a normal basis. So I think Arsenal will finish above Brighton, but I don't think Arsenal will finish above Leicester. So
listen, you said we wouldn't finish above Southampton last year. So
I also said you finished. I also said you finished 8th last year, and I was right. So yeah, it's just that when you were 15th, I thought, oh, this is getting really bad.
Clock is correct twice.
Let me see what's going to happen next. So
yeah, no offense, David, but a broken clock is correct twice. So what can we say?
A broken clock said that Tuchel would do fantastic when he came into Chelsea. I'm just saying. So that again, many things I've said that have come true.
You've also said Mason Mount's not going to cut it at Chelsea or something like that. So.
No, I did not say that.
Let's see what happens with this one. In terms of winning the league, though, Kendall, who's going to do it? Do you see Chelsea doing it? Liverpool going to have a resurgence, or is it just all out Man City?
If Chelsea, well, I'm saying when obviously Lukaku arrives at Chelsea, I think Chelsea have a really good chance because their squad depth is insane. Like, it's insane. It's probably one of, well, apart from obviously Man City, it's probably one of the better squad depths in the league. So for me, they're up there, absolutely, with Man City. I think everyone is sitting there saying, oh, Man United are nowhere near. Ollie's at the wheel. I literally, if Varane comes in, you've got Sancho. I literally don't see why you've got Cavani for another. I don't see why you can't be competing when you did last year. I can't see why you wouldn't be. Everyone always knows that I always stick up for Ollie. I don't know why. I just feel sorry for him, but I always stick up for him.
You know what though, Ken? I totally get where you're coming from. So I said on last night's show, this is where football fans annoy me, because they'll say things like Ollie tax, Ollie's a bang average manager, and then say, why are Man United fans not considering themselves as title contenders? And it's sort of like, well, if we've got, even if I said last night, even if we all just agree for a moment that all of our squads are bang on equal with one another, if we've got an average manager and you've all got world-class managers, you have to put us as fourth favourites as a bare minimum. And then you start saying, yeah, but you spent this and spent that. Well, I agree that if we had a world-class manager with this squad, we should be considered one of the favourites. Like, you could make an argument, but we don't. So I can't put a prediction on what my team should do if we had a better manager. I can only predict what I think we're going to do with this manager. And I think we'll have a good season. I think Man United could win the league, but it will take a couple of teams above us to maybe not be as good as we think they need to be. I hope Ollie does it. But how about yourself, David? Can Man United win the league?
I don't think they can win the league. I said yesterday that they're second favourites for me. I still think it's City's to lose. Like, it's like the Champions League. It's like the only way I really see City losing is if Pep decides, to play Edison in midfield and Kyle Walker in goal. Just something like where you go like, why have you done that?
I slightly feel like Kyle Walker would actually be all right in goal.
You know what I mean? He's one game, one clean sheet. He's the equivalent of Sam Allardyce's England manager. But like, unless Pep Guardiola does something where you go, why have you been doing that the whole season? I think they'll just win it. I can't see anybody else.
How about yourself, Igal? Being called out a little bit here by Maria Williams and by Reese, I see. But how about yourself, Igal? Do you feel like it's Man City's to lose? Any curveballs? Who's winning the title in your opinion, mate?
Also, Arsenal were 6 points off top four. So if you want to say claim 5 points, 6 points, same thing. You finish seventh, we finish eighth, same thing, Maria.
Trust me, bruv. Like a sixer and a fiver, there's a big difference, bro. That's all I'm saying. Right.
Okay. That's not where I was going. Anyways,
sorry.
When it comes to winning the Premier League, who's gonna win it? Or you just asked me if Manchester United can win it?
No, who's gonna win the league? That's your prediction. I need from you, brother.
Okay. Do I think Manchester United can win it? No. Do I think Liverpool can win it after having the season they had last season, crumbling the way they did at the beginning of the season? I don't think so. Can Chelsea make the step up? Look at that. Can Chelsea make the step up from how they played last season to this season with Lukaku and everybody with Thomas Tuchel? Maybe, but I just think it's a little bit too premature for them. So I think once again, Man City are going to win the league one more time.
Man City, interesting indeed. Look, City definitely have to be the favourites, and the pressure on them. They're champions. They've just signed the most expensive player in Premier League history in Jack Grealish. The pressure has to be put upon them. I also think Jack Grealish deserves to have huge pressure put on him, like Paul Pogba gets, like Lukaku's going to have. Like, if Lukaku's not on 10 goals in 10 games, people are going to question it because it's £100 million. And I think Jack Grealish needs to be questioned in exactly the same way. There's no doubt about it. Tahir here says, what's fifth with no European competition? You should be winning the league. If you come 8th or 10th, that's embarrassing. This is your one chance to win it. It's a bit over the top, like win the league and all that. But honestly, Gal, if you don't make it into the top 5 with no European football with this squad, because you predicted it, I'm assuming you'll be Arteta out then. That'll be a big, big disappointment, right?
Listen, Arteta should resign at this point with the amount of signings that he's getting into this season. It's actually been pathetic. The window has been terrible, and the man has the audacity to come out with interviews the way he's doing. It's pathetic. Honestly, I don't even want to speak about the manager. I'm Arsenal in. I don't really care about the whole Arteta in out conversation. As long as he's the manager, I'm going to back the team. I'm not going to get myself stuck into the whole manager debate.
Interesting. I mean, that's a great way. That's another Hancock moment, though, isn't it? About avoiding the question, brother. It's like, I'm just not going to get involved. I'm just going to bury my head in the sand like an ostrich. I'm going to start calling you Igal the ostrich, bro. Do you know what I mean? That's what I have to call you from now. No, Igal the emu. They must bury their heads.
I'm not Arteta out. I'm not Arteta in. When people say crazy stuff like he's tactically inept and he has no system, I'll call them out. And when people say, you know what, he's great, he's this good-looking manager, stop it. Stop
I can't remember who said it now, but it was like, you know, the Ollie debate, and they were like, oh, you're Ollie in or Ollie out. And they were like, no, I'm not Ollie in or Ollie out. I'm Ollie doubt. That's what you are. You're not Arteta in or out. You're Arteta doubt. That's what you are.
Yeah, he's just in the mud, mate. Arteta, not Arteta. Igal the emu, bruv. Like, bury that.
I tried to watch a press conference. Biggest mistake of my life.
Listen, honestly, these are things I tell everybody. Never watch any press conference ever. They are.
But then if you don't watch press conferences, you don't get moments like, how's the bacon, did you say? Because that was in a press conference.
Yeah, see, okay. Do you know what? Do you know why that's great? Because that's not
you.
that's not scripted and whatever. Like, you know, Louis van Gaal was great in press conferences, but you see the press manager pulling his arm the whole time, like, stop bloody talking because you're going to say something stupid. But most of these managers now, it's like they're so media trained. It's unbelievable. Relegation. Kendall, who's going down? Newcastle. You fancy Newcastle for relegation? Maybe a little bit. 6-1 odds.
No, I don't. Right, no, because last year I kept moaning and whinging on saying, oh, we're going to go down, and we didn't. We ended up 12th, so, you know, that was with Joe Willock. So if Joe Willock can keep up that, then I don't think we're going to go down. If St. Maximin can stay fit, don't think we're going to go down. Wilson, don't think we're going to go down. I think we'll be about 16th, but I don't think we're going to go down. For me, I think Burnley are in trouble. I think I would have said Southampton if they hadn't maybe made a couple of the signings that they had, but their policy this transfer window seems to be young, like young transfers. So I think they might be all right because the young players always have like the head to, you know, fight in situations like that. I do think that probably the newly promoted teams are, again, I know you always think they're in trouble anyway, but Watford are probably in trouble. Norwich are classically yo-yo, but they've made a couple of good signings and kept most of their squad. So I think relegation is going to be interesting this year. Very interesting. I think Wolves again. I think Wolves are in trouble also. I forgot about Wolves actually. Okay.
They certainly could be.
I think Watford, Norwich, and I know Brentford as well. I forgot about Brentford. It's too hard. People are probably going to say Newcastle, and I don't even blame us for saying that.
The disappointment there in David's face. David, do you think Brentford will go down, or do you think they'll be one?
No.
That's because you don't want them to.
No. Burnley. Okay. First of all, Burnley are never going down.
How do you know that?
Burnley remind me of the old Premier League where it's just these men are all tall, long ball, goal like Chris Wood. Chris Wood is a top 10 Premier League striker. He is. I'm sorry to say it, but he's a top 10 Premier League striker. I love Chris Wood. Is
okay.
Amazing.
Name your top 10.
I can't even think about it. I can't even think about it.
That's my.
All I know is that Chris Wood is.
I know. I'm sharing your list.
So Burnley's not going anywhere. Brentford, I don't think are going anywhere either. And surprisingly, I actually don't think Norwich are either. I think Norwich are going to stay up. So for me, I'm saying Watford are going down. I'm going to say Newcastle are going down. And I'm going to say Palace are going to go down. There's something about that Patrick Vieira I don't trust. I just don't trust him.
Patrick Vieira.
I just don't trust him. I
agree with you on the Palace situation because I think Roy Hodgson was just, you know, as we always say, like Jurassic managers, like he's just that type of manager, like you're just solid. You're never going to push on with him or anything. You're just going to stay there roundabouts, like a Sean Dyche situation. Like you're just going to stay there and thereabouts, and they don't have that this time. And Eze is out for the season, isn't he? So
there's just something about, like, I feel like he's going to come in and he's going to play this really expansive, attractive football. but every game they're gonna lose like 3-1 or 4-2. Just something like literally the way that they were talking when what was his name? When Chris Hughton got sacked by Brighton, and all these old managers came out and went, "Why are they getting rid of him? He's doing a fantastic job. He's keeping them in the division." I think that's more applicable to this situation because like people knew that Potter coming in is actually a really good manager. Like Patrick Vieira is just this unknown of we don't actually know what he's good at.
Yeah.
So
You need to clip that part where he said Chris Wood is a top 10 striker.
Chris Wood is a top 10 striker.
Honestly,
I've been saying it for a whole year.
For a year.
For a whole year, I've been saying it. Chris Wood is a top 10.
What drugs do you
I'm glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I'm in bed. There's an interesting thing here, though. Just for again, I was on transfers here. It says the Bell, as in the AFC Bell, just said that Arsenal didn't give up on Ramsdale. It is just to pressure Sheffield United. And this is, do you know what's interesting, right? I know this is back to transfers for a minute, but this is football now. Like, I take everything I hear to a degree with a pinch of salt when it's an unyielding statement where it's like Arsenal have given up. Because remember, I swear I saw those reports about Lukaku to Chelsea only 2 weeks ago. Like, it isn't happening. It's dead and buried. How many people shut down the idea of Rafael Varane to Man United? Like, all these things have happened. I mean, Chelsea fans for 2 years says Sancho's never joining Man United. He's a Chelsea fan.
He supports Chelsea.
Yeah, I say sometimes people got to relax a little bit. Yeah, for me, I don't know who all the teams that are going down, but I know I'm going to put Watford into that, and I think Crystal Palace might go down as well, which I'm sad about because I want Patrick Vieira to do well, but I just don't know. I'm getting not as bad as the ball, but I think he's going to go in there, change up the way they play, and they're just going to get ripped. Like Hodgson had it down. He had it down. He kept him in the league, but we will see. Samuel here. Can you imagine if Arsenal go down again? How funny would that be?
It's not going to happen. But if it did,
it won't happen. It's unheard of that. It won't happen.
That won't ever happen. If it did happen, the owner would leave immediately.
I would hate that. I'd actually hate that so bad because then I just feel bad. I just feel like I'm bullying like a little brother.
Terry, could you show the list one more time? I just want to show where I had Tottenham.
Where did you have to just tell us? So I've stopped sharing it. Just give me a second.
I think I had Tottenham 9th, or I had them 9th.
You had Everton 11th, Leeds 6th. I remember because they were the ones.
I had Brighton 10th. I had Leeds 6th. Yeah, I think Leeds could finish above Leicester. I really do.
Fair enough.
Interesting indeed. But there is some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Some breaking news right now. Across social media, Chelsea Football Club have formally announced the signing of Lukaku. I believe that they definitely have. I've seen the video
on YouTube, which shows that sometimes dreams really can come true.
It's kind of weird. It's like just trying to sort the signal out. Be right back. That's basically the announcement. It's come out now. Chelsea have signed him. It's been announced by Chelsea social media. I can't tell if
you're happy or not, David, because you're not happy.
I'm not his biggest fan.
Is it because do you think because that's obviously Haaland out the window now? Surely this window.
No, anyway. This is my thing. That I'm going to admit this fully well. I will have a Lukaku agenda because I watch Haaland every week. Okay, so if I see Haaland bagging hat tricks and this guy missing shot, I'm gonna be so angry. I'm going to be so angry. Like, it's going to...
How are you having a preemptive agenda? This is what I hate about football.
This is different. This is him, though.
No, because I didn't want this anyway. This is my thing. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not one of these fans who's like, I really wanted Haaland, but if we get Lukaku, it's not the end of the world. I don't think he's worth the money that we're paying for him, personally. Okay? So already, I'm here like... This guy, I'm not a fan of already. So he's got to come in and blow my expectations away. I ask every Chelsea fan, if you think he's worth 100 mil, that's fine. What does he have to do to be worth 100 mil? And they come back and say, he's got to get 15 league goals. I'm like, he's 100 million pounds. He's got to be the best player in the league, or at least second. Like, so he's got to be better than him. No, of course Chris Wood's not better than Lukaku, of course not. But like, he's got to come in and be levels. Oh, again, I literally said like only 9 players in history have been worth over 100 mil, like, and inflation and so on, but only 9 players really. So if you're 100 mil, you have to be scoring 25 Premier League goals, 25 Premier League goals. Like, it has to be. You have to. For me, he's got to win in his time. He's going to probably win 2 Prems, 1 more Champions League, and like a Golden Boot for me to sit there and be like, you know what, he was worth it. But until then, like, well, not until then, but right now, I'm not his biggest fan. Is he better than what we have? Yes, but you know,
he's better than Timo Werner. Let's put it that way.
I think you're being really harsh on him, mate. I think when it comes to Lukaku, he's a quality player. There is absolutely no doubt about it. You know, he is a top quality player. Number 9 shirt. Was that there? Oh, the Haaland.
Haaland. That's someone bought.
I was going to say, I thought I said Haaland. I was like, what?
Yeah, but do you know what's crazy? Look, it is what it is. They were looking at him all summer. Like, this is what I would say to any Chelsea fan who's doubting Lukaku. Yes, the number 1 target was Haaland, but very closely followed by Lukaku. Chelsea chased him all summer. Tuchel was very keen on him. You were always keeping it on the back burner while you were looking at the Haaland situation. It's literally like, we didn't get the Ferrari that I wanted, but it's okay. I managed to bag a Lamborghini. I don't think, I'm not saying he moves like a Lamborghini. I'm just giving you an example, David, into the value. You sign one of the, who are the other strikers out there? Think about it. You're never getting Harry Kane from Chelsea because of the connection of your two, the ship between your 2 clubs. Lewandowski is older and he's unavailable. Who else is there? Who else can come that's world class at the moment in football? Who is it?
Again, it's not about that. I personally would have just waited. I would have maybe signed a stopgap striker, waited, and then gone next year. And even if it had failed, even if it had failed, we would have had a backup for next year, and Lukaku still would have been there. That's personally me.
But gone for what do you mean? Gone for who next summer?
Gone for Haaland next summer. And then if we can't get Haaland, Lukaku still would have been there.
But this is the thing, bro. This is why. I'm saying you got to listen, right? But this is if you listen.
What if he banged in another 30 goals in Serie A and then he was 130 million next summer?
Yeah, I mean, you've got that. There's that side of it, absolutely. But you've also got to. That's bang on. That who knows what the price of these players are going to be? Who knows the availability of people next year and whatever. On top of that, Haaland wasn't that interested in Chelsea up until the back end of the season when under Tuchel, when he won the Champions League. He wanted a legacy team. He very much told. That's why Chelsea went hard this summer, because the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, if they've got the money, even the Man Uniteds and the Liverpools and Bayern Munich, they have a bigger chance. He wants to go to one of the clubs that is historically brilliant, but that can afford him right now. Chelsea became an option because just won the 2nd Champions League. They're doing well under Thomas Tuchel. Chelsea Football Club are very, very aware of this. I think Chelsea and Roman realized, one, we want to win now this season, so we need a striker, but also they'd have had the conversations. They would know that the likelihood of getting him next year was very, very slim when everyone's coming in for him. So a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, mate, in my opinion. Being called a plastic fan here by C in relation.
I'm used to it. I said Mason Mounts, you know, I'm used to it. I'm not the typical Chelsea fan, so. Well, everyone's like, "Oh, he's back from the academy. I can't wait, Lukaku." I'm not one of them. I'm just not. I don't see it. So.
I hear you on that. I mean, how many goals, Egal, do you expect to see from basically the £100 million man?
We're gonna see between 20 to 25 goals. That's what I'm thinking if he's on penalties, because I'm thinking he's gonna come in right away, say, Jorginho, goodbye. Penalties are mine, and then he's gonna try to push Harry Kane to get that. If he can stay at Chelsea and he can score 25 to 30 goals every season for the rest of the time that he's at Chelsea, he could push Harry Kane for that Alan Shearer record.
I mean, I mean, obviously you being a Geordie, that's a long way to go. I think we looked at it yesterday. Lukaku would have to score around 25 to 30 goals a season for at least the next 5 or 6 years to get near Shearer's record. It's going to be hard to get to. How about yourself, Kendall? Do you see this being a successful signing? Will he score the goals to make Chelsea Premier League champions, do you feel?
I think he's a great signing, 100%, because he is that talisman striker that Chelsea thought they were signing in Werner and didn't. They need that. Everybody else is now available, the likes of Mount, the likes of Havertz, to do their jobs, basically, and not have to do, like Havertz hasn't got to do an extra job in terms of Timo Werner, things like that. They haven't got to play high up in terms of lacking for the shots and the goals missed. So I think he'll do a job. I think minimum 20 goals, minimum. Under Tuchel's revitalised the whole Chelsea team. since he came in. So I think he'll be great. You know, he's got a patient and fun and exciting, forward-thinking manager under Tuchel. So he's going to do great. He's going to do really, really well, despite the fact, obviously, people are going to look at his time at like Man United and think, oh God, but he isn't that player anymore. Way better experience now. He's way more switched on. A completely different system. If Tuchel's a fan, you can't really turn your nose up, because he obviously looks at a player like Lukaku and thinks, you know, I can work with that. I can make that better. I can make it fit. So yeah, and we might see Werner. I don't know. Do you think Werner will play? Do you think he'll play behind Lukaku? Like, I don't know what
I think the two will play together. The
Yeah.
only thing where I'm like, Lukaku could be really successful is that the fact that Tuchel wants him. That's the only thing right now that's literally like not making me rip my hair out, because it's again, I am very against £100 million transfers right now, because I don't think, apart from Mbappe, I don't think any of them have been worth it. So I don't even.
Mbappe though, he hasn't had a great.
No, but I feel like Mbappe is, you know, Mbappe. He's probably the most marketable, and two, he's got the sell on as well. So you know, he's still a young age, and he'll probably, unless of course you use him for free, then that's a different thing. But like, Neymar's a fantastic player. I don't think he was worth 222 million. Griezmann was great at Atletico. I don't think he was worth 140 mil. João Felix was great at Benfica. I don't think he was worth 130 mil. Lukaku was great at Inter. I don't think he's worth 100 mil though. He's going to have to do a lot to be worth 100 million pounds. That's my only thing with it. So yeah.
The good thing on Chelsea's behalf is you haven't lost any important player though either. So you're just adding on to already a decent squad. I mean, you've lost Giroud. That's basically it. So you're already adding on to a decent squad that's worked together. A few of them have had really successful summers, obviously, like in the likes of Jorginho, Mason Mount, final, you know, things like that. So you've had you've got a decent squad already to build on. So Lukaku's only adding that. You know, you haven't taken away and added it to make it equal again. You've just added quality to quality. So I don't think you can really go wrong with it, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was going to say something quickly.
Go on, mate.
I'm not trying to be banterous here. I'm not trying to throw salt. I think he's a great signing, Lukaku, but I just don't think he pushes you over the edge to win the title this season. I still think you're 1 year away.
Yeah, but is that because City are too hard to catch, or because Chelsea won't be good enough? Because you've got to remember, if City get 98 points and Chelsea get 92, there's almost nothing Chelsea can do about that. Do you get what I mean? Like, how is this because Chelsea won't be good enough to win, or because City are just too hard to catch? Like, what angle are you looking at it from?
I'm looking at it from this Chelsea team is a good team, but they still have certain holes, and overall as a team, they're going to struggle to catch up to City. I agree with you there, but themselves, they're not ready to keep the level of consistency that they need to keep to win a league campaign. I've seen them falter at times, and I still think there's going to be those moments of them faltering as a young team, need to mesh together. Teams that win the league tend to have a couple of years of a base together that's been playing together for a long time period, and Chelsea just have too many new parts.
It'd be interesting to see. The comment here that says David's only excuse to people calling him plastic is generalizing these people being biased towards Mount.
Guys coming for you.
Nice try, pal.
No, but it's like, you know, my point is that I'm used to everyone calling me plastic because, you know, I'm not the fan of every single youth player that comes out. Like again, Chalobah is an example. Yes, they had a really good game. I thought he had a very good game yesterday. But some Chelsea fans are like, why do we need to sign Koundé when we've got Chalobah? And I'm sat there like, are you being okay? Because he had one good game. Relax. He's probably going to go on loan. I'm not the biggest fan of Koundé either. But even me, it would not be the biggest fan goes, Koundé is better than Chalobah. So Chalobah is not the person right now. He had a good game, but relax. I'm not the biggest fan of the youth. I'm not Mason Mount's biggest fan. Yeah, I wasn't Frank Lampard's biggest fan when he was in charge of Chelsea. Obviously, as a player, it's different to him as a manager. It's different. But like, the only thing that I've actually been really happy with Chelsea was when Tuchel came in. But then 90% of the Chelsea fans was unhappy because he had been sacked anyway, because Lampard had been sacked. So I just tend to fall on the opposite side because I look at football more like analytically than I do as a, you know, like, not fun, but like I don't buy
You're
into
like
all
the
of
opposite of a passionate
like
person.
literally.
you
I
like
don't
it,
buy-
you
I
accept
don't like. I
all
don't.
the
I
stuff.
just. I don't sit there and like buy into like. I don't buy into the crowd. I don't really. I like even in life. I don't really like buying into the crowd. So when everyone's like, "Oh, I hate VAR," I'll just be there like, "Well, actually, VAR's all right." I think because I genuinely think VAR is all right. I think it does quite a good job.
We
When
know.
everyone's like, "I absolutely love Mason Mount," I'm like, "Yeah, Mason Mount is good." But I think you are all talking a bit too much of him. I think he's good.
I
He's
don't
not
know.
quite there yet.
He's just a
So-
fun sponge.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're one of the like emotional hoovers. Do you know what I mean? Don't talk to that. Just like suck the fun out of everything. Get rid of it all. Ro here says Lukaku is a great signing for Chelsea. He will be the most powerful and fast striker in the league. This signing would make Chelsea win the league. Defenders would get scared of Lukaku running at them. And I've already said it. If City don't sign Harry Kane or a prolific goal scorer, Chelsea win the league now. We knew this deal was happening. It's now over the line. It's done and it's dusted. And they've got a huge opportunity now, Chelsea, to go on to do some absolute serious damage in the Premier League this campaign. But look, everyone that's tuned in to us today, thank you very much indeed. It means a great deal to us. Remember, you can sign up to our brand new fantasy league with a chance to win £200,000. The link is in the description below to play. Also, make sure you sign up to our new notifications group. There's a link again in our description, or you can just go to the link that's pinned to the live comment section right now and sign up. It's free of charge. It's just to notify you when we go live with new content. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. Really appreciate it, everyone. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.